Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch is the one everyone wants. When we speak of the long-running Patek Philippe Calatrava 5296, everyone asks about the sector dial. The first version of the watch, as it was launched as a new model in 2005, this is the 5296G-001, the sector dial in white gold. Now the watch is nicely sized at 38 millimeters in diameter. Taking a look at it in profile, 8.7 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, 46 millimeters with a 21 millimeter spacing in between the lugs. Now we'll throw this on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. It wears nicely. The strap is very stiff. It's substantial alligator leather. It's not broken in. I have to pull it tight, so please excuse the pinched wrist. But you can see it is a very flat watch. It'll fit underneath the dress cuff. It's how it looks on a 16 centimeter circumference wrist. Now take a better look at how much clearance I've got on each side. The over-the-top shot exaggerates the width, particularly because I'm pulling the strap tight. But as the strap softens and breaks in, what you'll find is that this watch is suitable for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference, maybe even 13.5. Taking a look at the strap, this is why it is so stiff. It's really good stuff. Patek often brags about using the largest and most symmetrical rectangular alligator leather scale patterns, and they call them square, which is kind of weird because they're not square, but they mean this. This is a rare cut of the beast. It's down on the belly. Most of the hide does not look like this, which is why it's the most expensive. It's very dark blue, gloss. You can see we've got on profile a folded edge, a monotone stitch, calfskin on the bottom. No crimping, no gouging of the strap. You can see it is very fresh. We've got a little white gold pin buckle, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. You can see that this is a fairly new Patek strap with little pull-tab spring bars, probably the earlier version of their pull-tab spring bar, but there it is right there. So you can pop the strap off the case without a tool. Now take a look at this case. Right around 2006, Patek Philippe generally went over to gray gold, which is a type of white gold that never needs to be rhodium plated, but you can clearly see, especially if you put it next to my Garrick, which is steel, you can clearly see this is not the tone of gray gold, which is the non-plated version of white gold. That's steel. That is rhodium-plated white gold, which is why it is so blindingly white. Now, I'm not certain because this is right on the cusp of the changeover. The model was launched in 2005. This example was sold in 2006. I'm not sure if this is just an example of the way Patek used to use rhodium plating on white gold, or if they decided specifically because of the aesthetic of the dial, they wanted a blazing white case. It's not clear. What is clear is that this is as white as platinum, so this is definitely rhodium plate white gold, giving it a very different aesthetic and a striking one compared to modern gray gold, which brings us back to this buckle, which is clearly a darker tone than the case. So this is what gray gold looks like. And there was a time when this was considered to be unfashionable because it looked too warm, almost like it might have a little bit of yellow or rose in it. And it was always preferable to put rhodium plating on white gold. Well, this is kind of the wave of the future, gray gold, white gold as we know it today. And this is old school white gold with rhodium plate. I just thought I'd throw in that contrast. Very flat, almost like a 5107. The bezel is very, very, very shallow in its conical profile. We've got a boxed and cambered sapphire. We've got simple blended lugs. This is a Calatrava, form follows function. They're rolled at their profile and somewhat downturned. The case is thin. The case back is stepped in, so when it's on the wrist, it looks even thinner than it is. The dial is a combination of shades and very subtle texture differences. You can see it best from this angle. We sort of have silver white, and then we have silver gray, and they alternate. We also have these radial sectors and concentric rings that help to define the sector dial. Blued hands with a set of kite hands for hours and minutes, and then a lancet counterweighted seconds hand for the seconds. We also have a date, and although this is not a hacking movement, you could see a couple of things. First, it only takes the slightest of back pressure to stop these center rotor center second automatic Patek calibers from the mid-2000s. So if you want to hack, there's a hacking hack. It's not hard to do. Let's just roll this all the way through just to make sure we're not in the date change danger zone, which we were. That's why we always check. And you can see this movement also features a quick set function. Now this dial is legendary, and you can see that it is beautifully balanced. You can cut it top to bottom, and it has bilateral symmetry with the sole exception of the date, which by popular demand is included. Also, having only index calibrations for the hours, but Arabic numeral calibrations for the minutes and the seconds gives it a distinctive look. Now, turning around to the back, you can see this is a version of the caliber 324, which back in 2006 was still a fairly recent addition to the lineup. Unidirectional winding, automatic, 4 hertz, 45-hour power reserve, chronometer style 5-position adjustment, Geneva seal, because this watch is pre-2009, that's when the transition took place. Metal hairspring, it's pre-silicon hairspring, so this is a repairable hairspring. Pivots on 29 jewels, and you can see it's nicely decorated. We have snailing on the edge of the rotor, engine turning on the center, engine turning on the base plate. We have engine turning on the click wheel. That's also a reduction wheel for the winding system. We have beveling on the edge of the bridges, which you could see in abundance. We have stripes on the bridges, and they're linear. We have stripes on the rotor, and they're circular. All screw heads are polished, and you can see the locating pegs, all 3 of them for the balance cock, have been polished on their tops. It has the quickset, but not the hacking. You can see the Geneva seal on the train bridge adjacent to the escapement and the balance. Here you get a better view of those polished bevels and the engine turning on the base plate, as well as the center rotor and the click wheel. All of this 30 meters water resistant, and probably the best looking automatic Calatrava of the modern era. So reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.